This is general advice and my opinions only. CFDs are high risk, past performance isn't reliable. I may be long or short CFDs and stocks mentioned. Content may contain language that offends some viewers. LEVRD operates as corporate authorised representative 001318377 under AFSL 548573. You can find our financial services guide via the LEVRD website link in the show notes.
Bag holders and stop loss owners, far out. Gold just got hammered last night, but equities have actually held up all right. Right, we're crossing to big Brad Seward from GBA Capital to come on and give a bit of desk time. Let's see what's going on. Here we go. Righto, Bradley Seward, Mr. GBA. What's going on, mate? What is happening?
Cheers, mate. I tell you what, war's on, war's off. I'm not entirely sure. One thing is certain is uncertainty sticking around for a long time.
Yeah, I know. So I'm just looking on the screen at the moment. Market's just open. Like gold down to freaking 46. I cursed the gold price. In 2 days, I dropped it from 5,000 and it went to 45.01 last night. But it's sort of recovered to about 46.40. But, you know, Newmont was down like 8% last night, but friggin' Aussie equities are actually holding up all right. Northern Star's only down 1%. Orobanda's down 3.9. Bellevue, Pantoro's down 0.8. What's the take, mate? Is everyone what's going on the desk?
Well, mate, the Aussie dollar gold price isn't down that much. It's still trading at relatively high levels, and I still think 4,500. If we talked about that 3 or 4 months ago as a potential price for where gold price could be, I think everyone would be ecstatic about that. It's that old meme, with the $4,500 gold in February and $4,500 gold in March again. It's not entirely a terrible price, is it?
Nah, I wouldn't have thought so. What are you thinking about the other ones? Like, mate, copper's getting hammered. Spodumene was down overnight. Obviously, oil price continues to rise. What's your bloody God? This has been a freaking volatile week, and I'm glad for the long onlys that everything hasn't died today. For them, I was hoping it would because I was short shitloads of golds. But how are you playing it on a Friday today?
Well, mate, it definitely feels like we were sort of having a chat today internally. We literally just got off. It was probably the longest morning meeting we've had for a long time. It lasted about 35 minutes. We're talking about, are we heading into a global recession? And I think, we've got one particular. We did an interesting deal in a small cap energy stock yesterday that actually was really interesting. We talk about that later, and we'd had a chat about it yesterday too. But I think we've got some oil and energy bulls in the desk here, and I think they're all really, really positive about the medium and the long-term implications of, I guess, a lot of this kind of global supply coming off the market. I think the geopolitically, everyone's trying to put supply back in, and obviously energy prices far higher just means inflation and a global recession. So, we're really in two minds at the moment here, and I think, we were thinking about a big wave of M&A occurring, but I don't think that's going to happen for quite a while. I don't know, we'd sort of talked about it yesterday, but you have to think these energy prices is really bad for a lot of the bigger gold miners out there that are using a lot of diesel. When are we going to see the first gold miner come out and say, well, we've had to shut down? I was chatting with a private owner of a mining services business yesterday, and he was saying, I've had to lay up half of my staff because I can't get enough diesel to put into the trucks at the moment to do, a lot of these kind of small scale gold operations. So, are we sitting here in an environment where we're going into a global recession? I think, the impacts on the energy market probably suggest so, but how much latent supply is there that can come online from Saudi or OPEC? And will this mean that Russia comes back into I guess global global politics moving forward as well? Are we going to see them pump out a bunch more gas and oil over the next little while? But I'm sort of not as bearish as everyone else is on Australia. I mean, got to remember that we're still a really, really big exporter and producer of natural gas. The Northwest Shelf is massive. I think the last time I checked, we were sort of exporting almost a similar amount of gas as as Qatar, and that's going to be fantastic. If we see the Henry Hub price go up a hell of a lot, that's going to be fantastic for a lot of these sort of companies that are exporting a hell of a lot of gas. Beach comes to mind in that small cap space in Australia as well. So it's not as big of an energy market as somewhere like the US, let's say, but we're definitely leveraged to the upside, Australia for sure.
Yeah, and well, it's interesting. Speaking about Qatar, they're not going to be. I think it said a 3 to 5 year recovery from what was bombed or caught fire, or how mixed reports of how that happened. But sounds like Iran bombed it, and I think it was like that's a lot of the EU's gas. So you've seen the EU spot gas rose like 17.5% last night, I think.
Yeah, well, exactly right. I mean, they kind of leveraged themselves to both. The Middle East and to Russia. You kind of have to feel bad for continental Europe at the moment. But like I said, I'm actually not as bearish as everyone else is on Australia, because we are a massive energy producer. You've got to remember we're a big net exporter of gas. I think, like I said, I think we're fairly close to what Qatar exports as well. So this is relatively positive, and will mean that we should be able to use that leverage as a bit more of an ability to get some fuel into the country, I think. So I'm not as worried as everyone else is. I'm sort of looking at this as kind of a short to medium term blip and a good opportunity to get long into some stuff. But geez, you're not going to pick the bottom, incredibly well. You've got to sit there and think, shit, maybe I might miss, 10, 15, 20% on some of these stocks. But I just know that once we get a bit more stability and everyone understands where the markets are going, that these things are going to rip again. It feels kind of like, you were in markets back during that sort of COVID rally. And I remember it was literally one afternoon. And like the big four banks had a 10 to 15%, literally a 10 to 15% reversal in an afternoon. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Sydney to 4. Jesus. And they were down 15 back to up. Yeah.
Yeah. And because gold's an interesting one. Like, it's going against what everyone thought it was going to do, but it appears that you're speaking of recessions, like all these central banks that might be in countries that might go into a recession now have less dollars to buy gold for their central bank. I just wonder how long that's going to go on for, or if we're actually going to see the gold price, the US gold price, recover from this, because far out it is. It's 4,600, which is freaking high. It's like we've just got used to this 5,000 number as of this year, but it'd be interesting to see. Imagine if it cracks 4.
I wouldn't be surprised if it does, but at some point. But you got to remember, what's the Aussie dollar gold price at the moment? It's got a close to
6,900, 6,800. Yeah,
exactly, mate. I tell you what, it's kind of. Like, that's a bloody good gold price. I don't think anyone. I mean, this is a conversation we're having today, and I speak to a lot of gold companies and developers and people looking to deploy capital, and none of them are putting 6,000 Aussie in their forecast as a way of running their businesses. I think everyone's sort of 4,500 Aussie. So, I think I'm not as worried about the medium and long term, and I think if you're buying gold stocks for the price of gold to stay over Aussie dollar price of gold to stay over $7,500 forever, then you probably shouldn't have been buying those gold stocks.
Yeah, exactly. And even the developers at the moment, I'll just look across the screen, or like developers and explorers that have just been like Alicanto back at $1.50, Benz $2.18.
Jeez.
Black Cat, they're a developer. They've just cracked. They're down 6.8, so they're back at 96 cents.
Bright Stars
35 cents. That's obviously a conflict holding for me, but fuck me, they're 210 mil cash. I think today they're sitting at about 150 mil EV. I know the debt's not drawn. That's taken into consideration. The debt's not drawn, but unbelievable. Even New Murchison back at 4 cents. It's just fucking carnage, and everyone's just. It's like, but the fact that everyone, the risk is saying, right, we're getting out of equities and we're also getting out of gold, the metal itself. Right, What are you playing today? You're obviously looking at energy. I might go do a bit of shopping this morning myself. Couple of tips.
Mate, I think in terms of energy stocks, look, obviously we did that at D3 Energy yesterday. I'm a big fan of that. I mean, again, I need to do let everyone know I'm a PA shareholder and took part in the placement yesterday, but that looks really fantastic.
Mate, why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you be if you're going to talk about it? This is what it's for, mate. You got to pump the PA.
No conflict, no interest, isn't that right, mate? No. Well, we did that raise yesterday, and that looks like an awesome way of playing kind of a structurally challenged market in terms of their helium and natural gas, and that looks like a really good way of sort of playing, I guess, in the small micro end. The dislocation in the oil and gas space at the moment. Look, if you want something a little bigger, I really like Beach. I've always been a big fan of what they do. They consistently reinvest back into the portfolio. They're not generating as much free cash as they probably could if they didn't reinvest all the money back into the ground, but that gives you a really strong growth profile that they've got. So big fan of Beach Energy in the sort of bigger end. And then, mate, there's a lot of gold stocks on my shopping list at the moment. I just not entirely sure if now's the right time to be taking a massive swing, but geez, you got to think so. I mean, there's stuff like, Win Metals is a really good example of a stock that could print its market cap and cash in 6 months. They're looking at restarting the radio gold mine, which you might know, Matt. It's a nice little sort of air leg operation that'll do 20-odd thousand ounces per annum. And it's got a really, really tiny market cap today at 2.2 cents. You look at some other stuff.
The thing about that as well, I've been considering that, the STIG, but it's also got lithium and nickel exposure. It's got the Faraday and the Mount Edward, so it's like that's all in there for free. So if there's a nickel thing like that was ripping back in the day. That was in 50 or 60 cents when it was widget nickel with. Oh, no, it's got a bit of arsenic in it, the Mount Edward stuff, but it's a free option on the friggin' nickel exposure in Australia.
Well, no one I've ever spoken to on that stock, has said exactly that. Remember, I think it was like $150 to $200 million market cap on the nickel, and the lithium stuff's not terrible. I think if you're looking at sort of smaller end rare earths producers, there's stuff like Viridis, which is now cashed up again. That sort of that stock, I look at that and I go, there's a huge valuation dislocation between that and Meteoric. Raf's done an amazing job, I guess. Probably he gets hit by a bus discount there as well. BCM in that rare earth space, mate. And then you look at some of the gold stocks that I've sort of been playing in the super small end. Minrex, as the deal goes through, they've just had a few of the board members head out to Serbia, and I guess the feedback's been really, really positive. So I'm catching up with one of the senior management this afternoon. Actually, we'll get a little bit of an update and flick out a note to my clients on Monday morning, hopefully. But that looks amazing, I think, in that sort of super small end in gold. And if you want something with a bit more leverage, it'll sort of go up 4 or 5 times in a good gold market. That looks awesome. Mate, there's a big shopping list. And I think in the larger end, the guys are sort of talking on the insto side about getting out of these sort of leveraged to diesel plays. We sort of talked about this quite a bit yesterday, Matt, and I think you look at guys like Volt, they're really, really leveraged to the diesel price with how much material they're moving at King of the Hills, for example. Or if you're trucking ore all the way around Leonora and Kalgoorlie, you'd have to think your margins kind of, you're not evaporating, but disappearing relatively quickly. So you'd be selling something like a Volt and buying something, with a higher grade underground sort of portion there. So I think I've seen a lot of guys out of Volt into Genesis, for example.
Yeah. Genesis is I'm actually short Genesis at the moment, but on the proviso, I know it's the mills aren't diesel, but just the deep trucking and the transferring of dirt between mines, and the fact that they're changing out a contractor this quarter. They're going from McMahon's to Burncut. So I know, but they're ahead on the guidance, and they usually do it all pretty comfortably. But it's actually, I'll just look at it now. It's down 0.6 compared to Orabanda down 7, Black Cat down 6.8, Bellevue down 5.7. So it's actually outperforming most of them. Probably one of the best performers of the goldies today. Bloody, like Ramelius back at $3.50. Like, that is, I know they're in a bit of a capital phase with Mount Magnet expanding, but they've got the buyback, but that thing hasn't just doesn't really perform compared to the rest of them. So that's back near Spartan. Like, it's still a bit higher than when they did the Spartan deal, but.
Why do you think that is, Matt? I mean, I kind of have a view around, there's a lot of management premium in some of these stocks, like Orabanda is a good example. Lukey's done an amazing job, and I think he's probably one of the most backable human beings in the world when you sort of chat with him. Horizon's probably similar too. I had a good long speak with Scott Williamson yesterday, and every time you come away from a conversation with him, you go, shit, I just need to buy more of that stock. And it looks like it's
he's a good promoter, Scotty. I love Scotty.
And it's the only one that's up today.
Might be going shopping today. I'm in two minds. I'm like, because I don't know if gold's going to keep going down.
Yeah.
So I need some short exposure to it. But it's like, fuck me. It's like, when do you start doing a bit of shopping at the moment?
Well, that's it. You sit down there, buy some of these kind of smaller gold things that have been absolutely hammered and are down, 30, 40, 50% almost. And buy some of those and go sort of short the bigger end.
Yeah,
that's been a trade that's worked really well for a while.
I've got an April end of April call option on gold at 5,100. So that's we'll see how that's my big long exposure. So because I believe as well, I'm not sure if I believe there's a chance gold could go back to $5,000 an ounce. But if there's uncertainty in guidances and fuel or fuel costs, the equities might even underperform the gold price as it goes back up. So I don't know, but that's a rough prediction I'm making.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly.
Right, mate. Love your work, mate. You have a good weekend. I better get these bloody kids sorted and try and make some money.
Yeah, mate. Enjoy down south.
Will do, mate. Will do, brother. Cheers, Seward.
Yeah, Matt. Bye.
Hey, bros. Right, there we go. Cheers, Seward. Right, quick commodity prices, positions. I've got to do some trading, I think. Fuck this. This is all over the shop. Right, as I said, bloody gold down to 46.48. It hit 45.01. It was just absolute bloody carnage. So aluminium down 4.2%. Alcoa got hammered. Coke and coal flat, copper down 2%, back at $5.46 a pound. What do we got? ND rare earths back at 93, down 3%. Nickel back at 761. Silver back at 72.50. Spodumene 6%, down 6%, 1983. Thermal coal continues its rise, $140, $145 a tonne for the Newcastle. Uranium flat, zinc down 1.8% at $1.38 a pound. Majors overnight, Alcoa down 8.6%, Newmont down 6.4%, Barrick down 4.9%. Very surprising on the ASX today how the bloody stocks have performed. They actually haven't been hammered too hard, the major gold ones. Trump-Iran update. As I said, Israel bombed the largest natural gas reserve in the world, Iran's South Pars, which is 80% of Iran's grid is gas-powered. Apparently, the US didn't authorise it. And then the Qatar LNG plant, that's on fire. So Trump says Iran attacked it. Other reports say that the fire had spread to it, but because that was like Iran and Qatar had a gas agreement effectively, so the arse has fallen out of everything. And then here's another good one. Japan was in the White House. Japan asked Trump why he didn't tell them he was starting a war. His response was, well, you didn't tell us about Pearl Harbor. What a fucking unit. What a unit. Does not give a flying fuck. Oh, my God. But here's the first fuel announcement, but it's positive. BOAB are saying Sorby Hill's fuel supply is confirmed. So they've said they've checked with their regional fuel supply regarding the security of diesel supply in the East Kimberley. She's all good, apparently. They've got enough fuel for April, May, and they've got more shipments coming in mid-April, late May, and a further shipment for late June. So that's confirmation from BOAB saying that fuel's okay in the Kimberley. Who knows? Who knows? Hearing mixed reports about fuel. Fund update. Right, breakthrough. Still getting hammered. I think that's 15.5. But what did I add yesterday? So the only thing I changed, so I still got the shorts on Genesis, Northern Star, Orabanda, Black Cat, Pantoro and Bellevue. It's still holding a little bit of Medallion and Bright Star. And I converted instead of the gold metal contract, I converted that to a gold call option. Just in case gold keeps frigging falling, I'll limit me downside. I don't know what's going to happen. So it's a 5,100 gold call that expires, and I think it's the 26th of April. So converted that. Now, the fund update, it's bloody... I thought I'd be fucking heaps higher because the arse fell out of gold, so I lost money on the gold, but the equities haven't actually frickin' gone down as much. Considering Newmont was down 8%, I'm thinking everything will be down 10% again, but it actually hasn't happened. So, fuck, only at 108. 108, bloody abysmal. So I did go up yesterday, and I've gone up on the open today, but not by much, not what I fucking thought. So anyway, I think I'm going shopping. Right.
3, 2, 1, let's fuck!
Right, so as you can see, so there's me call option on the gold price for 5,100, sitting at 46 at the moment. So leverage to a gold recovery there. So it's like 1.8. So that's like $180 per point. So it's a lot more leverage than I had previously, but it cost me 12 grand Aussie, and that's all I can lose on it. So yeah, Genesis flat, down 0.6. I'm thinking Genesis might be at the point where people just start buying it. Northern Star's been hammered already, so that's down 2.5. And maybe it's not worth having any fucking... I don't think there's any M&A happening at the moment, but fuck me, that has gone from 30 down to 18. So I reckon so that's 127 exposure. I'm going to fucking close them. I think Genesis. Let me just think about Genesis. I'm going to think about Genesis. Orabanda down 7.2, so $1.19. So yeah, I still believe their risk with fuel. Don't know if that's happening, but they said they were going to be on the lower end of guidance, and they haven't yet said if that is going to still be achieved or not. So, and based on Pantoro's downgrade, I still think there's a risk that their guidance might be downgraded. So we're going to keep that open. Black Cat getting 96.5 cents. So that one's coming through friggin' well. Pantoro's sort of back where... Let me have a look at the Pantoro chart. So Pantoro's only really back where it was on the downgrade. So they had the big downgrade, they had the reaction, they're sort of only back there. So that could have a little bit more to go if there's negativity. And with the contractor change out and everything and the risk of fuel, I'm going to keep that one open too. Bright Star's actually up a bit. I was going to go shopping there, but since that's up, Bellevue down 5.78, another one that's at risk, needs some big quarters. So since I've got rid of 60 of notional on the gold short, I reckon I might deploy more into Bellevue. Right, there we go. Genesis. Genesis is flat. Fuck, that thing can fucking rip too. Okay, right, I might... Genesis. Let me have a look at the chart. There's a lot going on here, but I think I need to go shopping. It has bloody hemorrhaged. Back below the lows of... Where's that? October 2025. So she's bloody pumped down. Right. I might close that one. Don't know. need to be protected. Right, I'm just going to keep that open. Nah, I'm keeping Genesis open. I need protection. If this gold price keeps going fucking down, this is all I've got to protect me. Okay. Righto. No, I'm going to leave as is. Do I go shopping? Okay, I think I need to. I'd be mad if I didn't. Right, what do we got? Alicano at $1.46. Fucking WAF's actually probably a good hedge here. What's WAF done today? That was a good fucking down 3 point. Right, maybe I'm going to buy some WAF. That's my shopping. $2.80. A lot of news coming out about the Kiaka side of things. Got a lot of cash. Maybe just have a little tickle on WAF. Okay, I'm going to Africa. God, this is freaking dangerous times. Right, WAF at 280. Okay, yep. WAF at 280. Righto, I'm in WAF. Just a little bit. Oh, is gold gonna die again? That is my worry. God, if it keeps going, 46, it bloody could. Yeah, so I'll keep me Genesis. So I've got, what have I got short? 620, 230 short. No, 280 short. 280 short gold. And then long, I am only 70 odd, 80 odd. Right, so if gold dies, I'm still protected on the downside. I've got the call option on the way back up, and I should be all good. Right, I just don't know if the gold price keeps going down and goes shopping today. I'm just going to freaking burn myself. I might regret it, but I've got Bright Star at bloody 34.5, and I've got Medallion at 36.5, and then I've got WAF at 280. So I class that as that's me shopping, and I've got me gold call option if gold rebounds hard, but I'm just not comfortable fucking levering up yet with all the uncertainty. Who freaking knows? So I'll end up getting myself snookered and fucking go backwards because I've tried to overcomplicate it. So, right, keeping it simple, keeping it very simple. The only thing I've changed is closing the Northern Star, covering the Northern Star short and adding to Black Cat, Pantoro and Bellevue effectively. Righto, I'm comfortable with that. If gold bloody recovers, I'll be laughing on the call option and the junior ones and WAF. So, right, there we go. Quick look across the screen. It's bloody miserable. But, so the worst performers are your Orabanda Black Cat. Who knows? The diesel ones. Bellevue, down 6%. Volt, Greatland. So gold's actually hasn't gone too bad today considering how much the gold price dropped. So what do we got? Nickel. Where's Centaurus back at? 51.5. So that's pretty flat. Biggest movers on the smaller one. So yeah, New Murchison, 4 cents. Fuck me dead. That is getting hammered. I need to. Nah, not touching it. I could, but I'm trying. Caprice back at 7.4. Rocks back at 44. Yeah, Jesus. Lithium. What's happening in lithium land? Liontown back at $1.40. Spod was down. I'm not game to go bloody shopping yet. This could keep bloody hemorrhaging. Too uncertain. Rare earths are getting bloody hammered. WA1 back at 12.75. Copper's getting hammered. 29 metals, 32.5. It's nearly 29 cents. Develop $4.03. Firefly $1.50. So it's red, but it's not as red as it could be, I don't think. Uranium, fucking Jesus Christ. Lotus, $1.32. Bloody, and raised it, what was it, 220 or something. Far out. Deep yellow, $1.64. Should have raised. Next gen back at 16, down 1.95. Bloody Paladin down 5.5, back at $10. Coals are going good. Whitehaven's up to 9.12. Yancoal, $8. Coals are going good. Go the coal. Righto, there we go. Have a good, go back. Have a good weekend, everyone.